another episode of The Little Radio Show. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Juan Alanis and Anjelica Cazares, and we're bringing you small talk about big topics. This week's, in case you missed it, is a look at a $7 million quinceañera. Yes, you heard it right, a $7 million quinceañera. We also talk a little bit about current fan movement on change.org to get a Selena Barbie. We also have a conversation about the issues and stumbling blocks that some of us are facing with being the primary caregivers for older parents. Just a reminder that you can catch us every week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org. Our show archives and a link to our iTunes and Stitcher channels are available at thelittlradioshow.com. Now, I know that it feels like we've been talking about quinceañeras a lot lately, but I'm going to ask you to indulge us one more time for this week's in case you missed it. Do you want to talk about the biggest quinceañera in history? And I don't know if that's a factually correct thing or if it's just a perception, but San Antonio attorney Thomas J. Henry threw a quinceañera for his daughter Maya that has just erupted all over social media, all over the interwebs, all over everywhere, because it reportedly had a price tag of $7 million. Wow. You heard that right. $7 million for a quinceañera.
That's a lot of money. That's who are the parents that can afford to throw their daughter $7 million?
Thomas J. Henry,
obviously.
Thomas J. Henry and his wife, apparently.
Wow.
So, what does a $7 million quinceañera look like? I don't know, because honestly,
by the look of the picture, it's very pretty. Just FYI.
Well, I would hope so. At that amount of money, that it would be very pretty.
And yes, we will be posting links as we can find them, but what I was going to say is that, obviously...
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was going to interrupt and say, what I was going to say is, why was I not invited? Why was, obviously, I don't know them, right? I didn't know what was going to happen, but that is, how do you top this? Where do you go from here?
I know.
This is it.
I know. And so, when we were talking quinceañeras in a previous episode, we were talking $10,000, maybe $100,000, those quinceañeras that make TV shows and et cetera. $7 million.
We were just having this conversation.
But you know how you top it. You have a $14 million wedding.
I'm not sure that's the way it's going to work, but we were having the conversation about quinceañeras yesterday with my niece, and she was explaining to me how some of the halls, you get them for just $3,000-$5,000 with nothing. Just the rent of the halls, $3,000-$5,000. And I was
absolutely.
Like, are they crazy? Like, how does that happen? And then to hear this, $7 million.
Well, of course, she didn't have a hall. They built a 55,000 square foot facility at the Six Flags Fiesta Texas lot to host the party. That's 55,000 square foot facility.
So did they rent out the Six Flags?
Yes.
They rented out
I don't know about renting out the entire Six Flags, but they built out on the Six Flags property this facility to host the party. Now, think about it. 55,000 square foot is bigger than most retail shops you've ever seen. I mean, this is a massive amount of square footage. And
I'm bad at math, so I don't know what square footage looks like. I would talk to me in acres. Is that like 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, you're so of course they had Nick Jonas and Pitbull were among the performers at this quinceañera.
That must have taken up at least half of the.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how much it costs to hire Pitbull to come and sing you happy birthday. And if everybody out there knows how much it would cost to hire Pitbull to come and sing me happy birthday for my next birthday, please let me know so I can commiserate how I'm never going to be able to afford it.
Or I thought you were going to say so you can start saving.
Oh, no. It's okay. If I have enough money to hire Pitbull to come sing me happy birthday, there are things that take precedence, including several world trips and a new house. And there's this little convertible 4-door nothing car that I want that, of course, is not practical in Houston because it floods and et cetera, et cetera. But a quinceañera. And I want to know the stuff that wasn't reported. Did she have the 14 attendants with the chambelanes? Did they do the traditional quinceañera stuff?
At this price, they might have just been paid to participate.
Well, no,
but I do understand. Yeah, it is the 14, the traditional 14. She makes the 15 and stuff like that. I'm going to assume she had every detail covered.
Well, I don't know that. Something this lavish.
Yeah, it is, it's for something so public, so big, small details all being left out. So we don't know the extent of it. And I'm wondering if they hired like somebody to come on and take pictures of it. Maybe it's going to come out in a magazine somewhere or something. I'm ready to see the details on this. Like, this might be the thing, the comparable to, well, what so-and-so, what's her name, had this quinceañera, and I want it sort of like this, or I want the details like this.
It'll be one of those specials on like People or like Oi or some magazine. It'll be like
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Yes. Lifestyles of the definitely so.
Vidas de los ricos y famosos. My God, we need that. NBC Latino, I have an idea for a show for you. To NBC Latino out there, I have an idea for a show for you. We'll talk.
So here's the thing. What he do now that he did this $7 million quinceañera? What is he going to do when she gets married?
Well, but we talked about this when we were talking quinceañeras, about how quinceañeras are really throwing a wonderful quinceañera is a status symbol for the family. And the more elaborate and the more intricate that you can make it, the better off you're doing as a family. It really is about showing off your wealth and your position now. I don't know if it's always been like that, but, and we're going to have to get an academic in here to talk to us about, what the real historical whatever of quinceañeras has been. But as it stands right now, quinceañeras are usually about status and position. This is how well we're doing. This is how much we can lavish on our daughter, et cetera, et cetera. It's a party. And so, $7 million. I mean, he couldn't, maybe he could have bought, he couldn't have bought this much publicity. It's the talk about, cementing the.
It's not the talk of the town. Yes. It's the talk of the nation.
But, think about like people like Paris Hilton and the Kardashians and whatever. All they are is celebutants. Well, this Maya girl is now primed to become the Latina celebutante. Think about it.
You think so?
Hey, $7 million.
Well,
all she needs is a good publicist and someone to approach her about doing her own show. And honestly, she could do a YouTube show and get it over with.
And do it all on her own?
Yes.
No, she needs like a primetime type of thing, like follow
Maya.
Maya.
I don't know. But back to the original $7 million quinceañera. You thought that you went to a lavish quinceañera. Let me tell you, these people topped it.
I mean, we're talking a 30-foot tall cherry blossom trees in full bloom. What?
The fact that they built a building, though,
that's
crazy. I wonder, I guess it was a temporary building. I'm assuming that they're not going to keep it there permanently.
I don't know. Maybe they're like a film crew that they built something just to take it down again.
Or maybe they could keep it and then rent it to other people now.
Wow.
Well, it's on a parking lot of Six Flags, and I'm not sure that's the way it's going to happen. But
I don't know. But I do know, like Disney and Disneyland and Disney World and whatever, they do big business in like weddings and et cetera. They're starting to have quinceañeras be celebrated too, or they have for a while. It's just not widely publicized.
But I have to say that whether the father did this intentionally or not.
You spend $7 million.
Whether it was intentional or not, in regards to this. If the intention was to get publicity for whatever, for his firm or wherever it is that he's doing things for, he got it. I myself just heard about it. I'm interested to know what he does, what he covers, who his clients are, so on and so forth. And I'm not going to need a lawyer. Like, I'm not trying to retain a lawyer type of thing. But, like, I'm interested in what he does and who, like, you could not have spent the money maybe better on your daughter and get publicity for it. Get Pitbull, Jonas,
and we're so cynical.
Wow,
maybe
we
this
are a
was
little
nothing else than a loving dad,
that's
or loving parent.
And that's why I said that. That's why I said that. Whether he wanted to or not, I think he got it. He got the publicity that maybe he wasn't even seeking. We are being probably a little cynical. Maybe it is his daughter was very well deserving of this, and this is,
they had the means. This is what she wanted, and amen and hallelujah, and this is the party that she ended up with.
Where there's a quote in here that says, I have to read this, where it says, "Let's just say her quinceañera is very blessed quinceañera," and indeed, agreed.
And all I am saying is, for anybody else out there who's planning to have a $7 million quinceañera, please, I know you have room for
put us on the invite list.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's this week's, in case you missed it. If you're just tuning in, this is the Little Radio Show on hmsnetradio.org. Most new listeners of the show found out about it through a friend or a blog post. If you're someone who has told someone else about the Little Radio Show, thank you so much. Really, it means a lot to us. Keep telling your friends, and if you happen to write something about the show, send us a link or tag us somehow so we can share it. And since we're revisiting old topics, so to speak, this week, I want to take another look at Barbie, but not from the, curvy girl and the new body types and whatever. I'm actually kind of shocked that Juan's not the one who brought this one up. There is apparently a movement out there, or some sort of a fan petition, to get Barbie to create a Selena version of Barbie.
Oh wow! I have seen that. But
there have been Selena.
Like,
I'm not very. I don't know. Mattel. I have to say this. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. There are already dolls out there that represent, is it just a dime that Mattel is making at this point?
But Barbie comes up with commemorative Barbies all the time. They have the Gone with the Wind Barbie, and they've got, Barbies that represent stuff from films, and Barbies that represent different culture types and whatever. It's not beyond the realm of possibilities.
I've seen them do like Princess Diana and
yes,
and things like this, and I've seen that happen, and whether it's right or wrong, I'm not sure.
Well, the thing is, they already had a doll. Like when Selena first passed away,
we own a doll.
Shortly after,
you own a doll.
We own a Selena doll.
Who came out with the Selena doll?
They came out with a Selena doll. It was a Mattel doll.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't think it was a Mattel doll. No, I don't think so.
I don't know. There was
I gotta
a brand
go look into the box.
Had a Selena box. And
okay, you're going to have to go home and take a picture of it.
I am.
So we can post it.
Definitely. I think that's
But I remember that it was out and it sold out. And there was and I bought one and I kept it. It's still in the box and everything because I was like, oh, this is going to be a collector's item one day. And now when I saw that story, I was like, wait a minute, weren't they already like?
But what is it? And we were talking about this offline before we started recording, and the comment came up with is Selena. It's you're seeing her name everywhere. Correct. Ever since the 20th anniversary.
She was an icon then, and she's an icon now, and her name's going to keep coming up and coming up and coming up. But when does it stop? When we keep trying to relive through items, like the Mag collection. I'm down for it and I'm all for it and I was excited, but it seems a lot of other things are coming up, and the question comes into play, like who has the right to it all? I want her commemorated and stuff, but I want it like, all right, I don't know if you remember, they did like this whole thing in the down in Reliance Center where they had a bunch of artists come in and re-sing some of her songs. That's the kind of commemoration that I want to have.
But there's an annual Selena festival. There is here in Houston, they have a Selena art exhibit.
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, right around the corner, there's going to be a Selena tribute. There's a local DJ who's going to do a Selena tribute
because it's right around the corner.
Yeah.
The anniversary is right around the corner. There is. So, are we looking at like 30 years from now, she's going to be like Marilyn Monroe in that we're still going to be doing tributes, and they're still going to be doing commemorative this, correct. And they're still going to be doing posters of her still going to be selling, and girls are still going to be dressing up as her for Halloween.
This is it. She's not only was she iconic, she's an iconic image. This is it. Like she's the Marilyn Monroe, the
She's like Elvis Presley, you know?
Yeah, the Elvis Presley.
Now all we need is the sightings of her.
Yes.
She's the Mona Lisa. She's like, this is it.
The other thing I saw the other day is that
image.
there's a Selenogram. It's like where you can pay somebody and they'll go and they'll like, I think it was like somebody broke up with somebody by sending them a Selena impersonator. Who sang
my God.
Yeah,
who sang that song that says Cobarde or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was funny.
I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, actually.
But, so what it is, back to the Selena Barbie, they are trying, some fans are trying to pull together to get Barbie to do the Selena Barbie. And I'm actually not, I don't know how I feel about this one way or the other, but I just thought it was interesting to note that, MAC Cosmetics, their collection's supposed to be coming out this year. And as we're going closer to the anniversary, we're seeing a lot more about Selena.
There's a Selena festival now that, is something kind of new that didn't exist before. But
I think it was briefly mentioned, but it happens in May.
Yeah.
And it happens down in Corpus.
Mm-hmm. But
every year it's going to be an annual thing now, and they're going to bring in, I believe her widower, is a big part of it. And, that's where I kind of throw my support. I throw my support behind the family and behind the way they would prefer to do things. And, fans do speak loudly, but family does speak louder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I do know is that the intent was to get to 7,500 signatures. Yes, on change.org. And as of when we recorded this, they still have not reached that. So I don't know that they're even going to reach the goal of the 7,500 signatures to send it to Mattel. I do know that this isn't the first time that Selena fans have gotten together to ask for something.
To rally.
Rally.
Definitely.
So I do wish them...
I'm going to put this out there. The doll is awesome. The doll is great. Let's get that
the idea of the doll.
Yes, the idea of the doll is great. Let's get that festival moved around. That would be awesome. You have it in Corpus Christi. You have it down in New York, and it's the same people, the same organizers. Maybe that's a great way to.
So what are you doing? You want to turn this into a Coachella?
Why not?
Well, they're
why
doing
not?
The hologram. The hologram concert that's supposed to be coming at some point is Selena in a hologram performance. So that'll be kind of interesting.
Like the way they did with Michael Jackson.
So it'll be interesting to see if people actually want to see that. To me, that's a little on the creepy side, but I don't know if I would go.
Juan, you bought the doll of Selena. You're talking about the creepy side. So
you never know.
Well, for those of you out there who, even if you are or are not a Selena fan, we do want you to chime in. Please remember to let us know what you think, whether or not you think it's okay for people to still be trying to... The fans just want to have her commemorated and celebrated, but the brands are actually, still making money off of the icon that is and that was and is Selena. Let us know what you think. Just a reminder, you can catch new episodes of The Little Radio Show on hmsnetradio.org every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Time. Recently, I came across an article in The Atlantic about the issue of elder care and how it impacts women. The reality is that we have more people growing to longer age than ever before. The lifespan has gotten much, much longer.
They're living longer.
And then what you have is you've got this entire group of boomers who are getting into retirement age more every day. So if you're a woman or a child of... a parent who is getting older, who has gotten to old age, and suddenly they need someone to make sure that they're going to the doctors and that their bills are getting paid because they're overlooking that kind of information. They're not quite as capable of driving themselves as they used to be. They need to be taken care of. Now you're in a position where you have to become, quote unquote, the parent to your parents.
I didn't think about this issue, and it wasn't something that
your mom's still pretty young.
What? No, actually, she's not, Sandra. No, and she is, because she looks very young, and she gets that comment a lot. But I didn't think about this until I realized my mom could no longer drive at night, or she was making mistakes, and you had to go back and recorrect them, and you had to make those phone calls, and they were costly, like money cost wise, and I pay her bills basically. I pay them because it's easier for me to pay them online than her to, to write out checks or to go to, down to the grocery store and stand there in line. It's saving us time, and it's saving her the headache of going, because she very reluctantly got a card, a bank card. She refused it for as long as she possibly could, until they told her, you need one. This is going to happen. And she was like, why? And she avoided it. So finally they had to give her one, and because she doesn't want to learn, she doesn't want to learn this. The ATM is not something she wants to deal with. She wants to deal with the teller directly. But it didn't play into effect until I was, nighttime falls, and she's like, hey, I got to go to the grocery store. I'm like, why are you telling? Well, and then it dawns on me, that's right, I need to go drive her. So I got to pick her up and take her to the grocery store. And the comforting place for me is that I live right down the street from her, so that's okay. But in a time and a place where we're so, sometimes families move away, and your parents are aging, all of a sudden you got to put that into play. Like, do we sell their house, and do they move in with us, or what do we do? How do we take care of them? Which is exactly, and it does fall on the women. It is the women.
A lot more than men.
Yes.
But, so I have a former coworker who had to go to a Monday through Thursday work schedule. And on Fridays, what she does is she goes and she makes sure her parents have gone to all, because they have a lot, they're much older. They have a lot of medical issues. And on Fridays, it's all about the doctors and the nurses and the pharmacies and the follow-ups and the physical therapy and etc. They can't drive themselves. Or rather, rather they not drive themselves, because they're at the point where their reaction times are much less. They don't pay attention quite as much, quite as clearly as they used to. She actually fears that if they go out and they drive themselves, they'll end up in an accident. And so for this sort of thing, she has to take them, which meant she had to restructure her work. I know a lot of women who have to take time off to go and handle stuff for their parents, like they would for their children. Either take them to the doctors, which is one of the many, many ways that happens. But there's bank trips and taking them to deal with insurance issues.
So here's my question, Sandra. Have you had the conversation with your siblings about, your mom? And do you think your brother was played into effect? Because I had the conversation with my sister, and my brother wasn't exactly part of the conversation. We know that if the time came to it, he would participate in ways monetary, but not so much in the other ways. And or we didn't think of it like that. We didn't think of him like that, because maybe it was a culture thing for us. I'm not sure, but you have those conversations, and it lies directly more on the women.
But the problem is, you can't actually just have the conversation with your siblings. Your parents have an opinion.
They do. They very much do. But here's the thing.
Your parents have an opinion, and it may not, in fact, coincide with what you think is best. Because, and this happens a lot, yeah. You and your siblings might think that the best thing, she lives by herself, and let's bring somebody in to stay with her, and your mom won't open the door for her.
The only thing is, my mom, she tells us she was like, I'm not old yet, no me hagas tarada. Like, don't play me, I'm not, please don't pretend I'm like, it's like, but she has a mother who is over 90. My mom has a mom who's over 90, and we see the relationship, we see the structure that happens, and you say things to them like, the
thing is, you want your parents to, at a certain point, you feel like you're becoming the parent and they're becoming the child.
Yes,
but they're still they have their own.
Adults.
They're still adults, and they still have their mindset of what they want to do. And one of the moments where we realized that is like when we were both of my parents are older, they're still capable and they're still able to get around and everything, but there's things like they can't do. Like my dad can't drive at night because he just can't see, so if he does, like, it's really scary. So we're like, don't drive at night.
Yes.
And my mom has several like different issues that she deals with, but when he finished treatment last year, and then he took off to Mexico for like a couple months, and we're all like, well, Dad's going to retire. He's going to stay at home. He's going to do this and he's going to do that. My dad was in Mexico. He was like, okay, I'll see you guys later. And he stayed over there for months. And, we were like, at some point. You have to
mention he came back and he was like, I'm done in Mexico. I'm going to come back and work. And so he
went back to work, but
he reapplied and got his job back.
But there was a period there where my siblings and I were like, is Dad coming back or is he staying in Mexico? And it was like very much that tension point where, we wanted him here, retired, at home. And he was like, no, I'm not going to retire. I don't want to retire. I want to be in Mexico, doing what I want to do, or I'm going to come back and I'm going to work. And that's what he's doing right now.
That's what I'm saying. It's like in a lot of instances, you think you're making decisions based upon what you think is best for them. They're still adults. They still get to make decisions for themselves. But the thing is, you're still the one who has to help them, though.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that facetiously because I do know children out there, and I even have friends who have told their parents, I love you dearly. But when you grow older, you're going into a nursing home. I'm not bringing you into my house and taking care of you.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, I think it's a cultural thing too. Within the Hispanic Latino community, there's still a cultural expectation that you take care of your elderly. You don't send them to a retirement home, because that's just not. There's some people who do.
Before we hit the record button, I was having a conversation with Sandra about in the Asian community. They actually sometimes the houses are built in a way that it's two homes, so their parents live on one side and the kids live on the other side, and the only thing that separates them is literally the wall with the door. Yeah. So you come in and out, and this is the way some do live. This is the way some do, and this is the way some of them do deal with their aging community.
Yeah, and I think it's like a like you said, it's a lifestyle change. Like you literally have to change your lifestyle, and I also saw my own mother, she took care of my grandmother through her last years of life. She lived with her, when she couldn't, get up anymore, when she couldn't, do the basic things. My mom was the one that took care of her, though, the entire time. And she literally had to change her lifestyle. And there were moments where she was, completely frustrated because she just, was like, I want her to do this. I want her to be a child. And she's not a child. She's, still, even when she can't walk, she's still being stubborn.
Yes. Actually, let me turn the conversation, though. I'm in my 40s. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not too far from...
Oh, Sandra, come on.
I'm a few decades away from being in the position where people are going to have these conversations about me. I don't have children. I've got nieces and nephews, so, God knows what's going to happen to me. One of the first things people tell me when I tell people I don't have children is like, who's going to take care of you when you're older? And I'm like, sweetie, I've talked to the current generation. Don't be too sure your kids are taking care of you. So that's all I'm saying. But I'm not saying we're old, but the time will pass before we know it. Have you started to think of when you're that age?
No, because I haven't got past my mother's age and how I'm going to deal with taking care of her.
And so learn from it and think of what kind of imposition do you want to make on the boy?
Well,
are you going to be like, okay, because if you I love going out and looking at new houses. And a lot of new construction have what they call the in-law suite.
What?
Which is a master bedroom on the floor downstairs towards a different part of the
so it feels more like an apartment.
So it feels more like an apartment. There's a lot of there's new constructions that are actually building those out back next to the garage, or instead of the garage is they're building what they call the in-law suites. They call it the guest room. Mm-hmm. But what it really is mom and dad moving in, and so that they can have a little bit of privacy. They're not actually on top of you. So for our audience out there, if you're currently dealing with a situation where you're the caregiver for an aging parent, we would really like to hear from you. We want to hear from more people about this about this particular instance. If you've already made plans for when you're older, please let us know. We also want to hear feedback about that. I think that we're probably going to revisit this topic and see if we can get some people to come in and maybe give us different perspectives from different cultures or different situations. Because this is something that, as I said, as the population continues to age, as more people become retired or retirement age and older, it's something we're going to be dealing with at an ever-increasing rate. Thank Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes and our Stitcher channels and leave us a rating or a review. You can find the link to both channels at ldquo.com. And in the shameless self-promotion part of this show, I have a question for you. Will you take a moment and let us know if you enjoy the podcast? What do you like about it? What are we doing well, and what can we improve? Please send us a comment on Facebook or Twitter and tag us. We always appreciate feedback from our listeners. You can find links to all of our social channels on thelittlradioshow.com.